Na Gray vai para a cobrança, vai mandar a bola na área das Ilhas Virgens Britânicas. Cruzamento veio, toque de cabeça. Gol! Brown! É da Jamaica!
Alarming signs for Jamaica. World Cup dream under threat. The clock is ticking, and if we fail to make it to the World Cup, it will be unforgiving. Greetings and welcome to another episode on Premier 7. I am your host, Ryan Nelson. I cannot ask if you guys are doing well, but I hope. But from my own end, I am not doing well, seeing that I am a fan of the Jamaica men's national team. I will never try to disrespect anyone who is in authority or any players who are representing the country. But we're playing some football that is very much ugly. And just to say, what if we qualified for the World Cup? What would have been the predicted scores against any opposition teams? Because let's face the reality. The game yesterday against British Virgin Islands was absolutely horrendous. And I have to say then, from my own observation, and I think from your own observation, we are yet to have a team that we can say, this is the main team. Now, the topic of importance is all about alarming signs for Jamaica, World Cup dream under threat. From that, let me just bring across a poll that I want for you guys to answer to share your own opinion. Now, the question is, after Jamaica versus British Virgin Islands, are you more concerned about Jamaica qualifying for World Cup 26? 3 votes thus far within 6 minutes. 33% saying yes, 67% saying not really, and no one stating no. Well, I would be in that category of saying yes. Reason being, it doesn't matter which team we're playing, we cannot convince the fans to say then that World Cup is a must. We played more than average in the Unity Cup, and to play against a lower ranked team in a British Virgin Island, we looked atrocious. Now, is it the case that I would be saying it is on the coach? Is it the only coach that have what it takes to at least get something differently done for Jamaica? I mean, Merrill Grimson, he made a difference, but not in all that extent. But what I'm trying to say, it is not always on the coach. I support this team. This team is my team, Manchester United. And to tell you the truth, the problem with this club is at the top. And is it the same for Jamaica with the Jamaica Football Federation? Now, I don't wish to be long on this video, but before I dive into the important segments of this, if you're new to Premier 7, please go ahead and subscribe. As you can see above, I have 1,944 subscribers. And as you can see down below, I am on the road of 2,000 subscribers. So people, please go ahead and help me to reach this target. And of course, if you are already a subscriber, then you know what to do. Now, let's talk about the game yesterday. Small assessment. That game, yes, it was horrendous. But the thing is, I was shocked with the environment for which the game was being played. Now, I'm not trying to belittle the era that the game was played, but the field wasn't good enough. The fans are okay. The commentary was... But let me not be like that. Let me just stick to the football. I mean, British Virgin Islands is nowhere close to a top team. Jamaica is not a top team. But in CONCACAF sense, we are in the top 5 or should be in the top 3. But we played as if we are nothing close to a team that is even CONCACAF qualifying teams. British Virgin Island did not play anything called proper football, but we have done nothing to convince fans to say then that, okay, this team is a small team, we're going to kill them. 1-0? I mean, that is a joke. And I have to tell you this straight up. If it was Argentina, England, France, Germany playing against a mediocre team and that was a performance, headlines would be skyrocketing. So it should be nothing different for Jamaica whenever it comes on to playing a lower ranked team. You can see then that, all right, the scoreline is 1-0 based on obvious realization. But looking on the team statistics, 15 shots for Jamaica, 2 to British Virgin Island. 5 shots on target, 2 to British Virgin Island. So out of 15, 5 shots was on point. So 10 was wasteful. Possession, 71%. We had most of the ball, which was expected, to a 29% of British Virgin Island. Passes, look how much passes we completed. And passing accuracy was somewhat close. Fouls, we committed 12 to 10. Yellow cards, red cards, no. Offsides, corners, come on. So we're seeing then that Jamaica is a better team, not only by names or on paper, but based on the result. And yes, I am grateful for the win because we are qualified for the third round of the World Cup qualifying stage, but it is not looking good for Jamaica. It is not looking good for Jamaica. And the thing is, I take pride in doing my YouTube contents because I love my national team and I love to present to you, the fans. So the expectation is there for the national team as well. And not in all aspects we can blame those who are in charge, but they have to be accounted for all of these horrendous decisions that are being made over the years up to this date. Now, let's look on the positional issues for Jamaica. I said it earlier out that we are in a position to say then that we are yet to establish what our main 11 is, and that is truthful. Nothing second guessing. It is absolutely truthful. Now, defense, it is okay, but is that defense good enough to beat any top teams or any average teams in the World Cup with such performance? Absolutely not. And if you agree, please smash a like on the video because it is obvious that we are not the best team. The ratings for British Virgin Island is 6.67 and for Jamaica it is 6.91. I talk about the different team statistics and it shows that majority goes in favor of Jamaica, but we were not capitalizing on all that was deemed necessary. So Andre Blake, he had one shot really to stop based on what I saw, so he had nothing really to do. However, looking on the players who represented the back line, Lemby Kisa, Richard King, Mason Holgate, and Greg Lee. Mason Holgate was somewhat of a steady Eddie, as well as Greg Lee. Richard King did anything reckless to me, and Lemby Kisa is Lemby Kisa. So the back line was somewhat okay. The midfield with Damian Lowe, I think it's an experiment, and I guess we somewhat believe then that British Virgin Island is not really a top team, for which is true. So let's play players in positions that may not be their best suited position. Damian Lowe is a centre back. Why putting him in the midfield? We understand by now that Damian Lowe in the midfield is nothing but a no-no. Flashing back to Serbia, that was the time that I believed then that Damian Lowe was a good option, but realizing then he's not a DM. I think something may happen to Isaac Hayden, maybe he's injured, whatever. We understand that. But what about the other midfielders? Damian Lowe should just be a centre-back. Jonathan Russell, okay. The best player on the pitch to me was Ademar Gray. He made the assist, and his deep line playing, collecting the ball, using up his technicalities and his skill set was what I was expecting to see We understand that Demarai Gray had his bad bits, but he is the only player who is of high profile that stepped up to the plate and played well for Jamaica. Cephas, I can see with him. His strength was always the pace, and he tried, but it never worked. Kayam Dixon, average game, but I am okay with Kayam Dixon as a youngster. I would not bash anyone, but not in all games the main players will be the best players. Let's say this team was for the main players. It never worked. And in the case then that for Warner Brown was the man who scored a goal, but I mean, it wasn't his best performance. I think Bailey came on and he did what we wanted to see him do, and I was somewhat satisfied, but let's face the reality. We never played a proper football on a whole. The second half we improved, but we are still lacking that biting cutting edge as a team that many persons are expecting to make it to the World Cup. Now, the other segment then is the availability of players and depth concerns. Again, we are yet to establish what our main team is. And I don't want to be thinking or hoping that we're going to get the Mason Greenwoods, the Reese Nelson, because hoping is not a sure thing. What we have here right now is not the best thing, but we have to have something in place then that to say then this is the system, this is what we're going to play, this is what any other player that comes in will work with and improve the teams. The better the quality, the better the results. But we're not playing anything. And some persons would say that it is based on the pitch. The pitch has something to do with it, of course, because some of our players are used to the better fields, as we can see when we played against Nigeria and Trinidad in the Unity Cup, our performance was more fluent. And I will not agree with the field that we played on yesterday. This is CONCACAF teams. This is World Cup qualifying. So we have to have better fields to play in because we don't want for a player to be injured. And that is something that I have to get out of the way. The team depth, it is there, but the quality is somewhat lacking. And in the group that I normally talk about football with, someone spoke about, and big up to Mr. James, he mentioned that the team itself, the JFF, is not doing what is right. To be utilizing JPL players is not what is required. Not saying that players should not get opportunities, but comparing Jamaica football to other teams, for example, Suriname, he said then that, and based on I quote unquote saying, Suriname team, the best of the best players have to play. It's World Cup qualifying. We want to go to the World Cup. Get the best players representing the team. Because if we're going to use our emotion to say then, oh, look at the money I'm trying at JPL. Yes, he deserves a chance. But if you get in, for example, a Mason Greenwood, do you play Mason Greenwood? Absolutely. So we need to get the best players in to represent the nation, because if we fail to go to the World Cup, I think then that Jamaica would have to stop play football. Yes, man. But anyway, moving on. Tactical challenges and coaches or coaching. Sometimes I wonder what the tactics is. We play a formation that, okay, it has been played before, but do we have the players to play the formation? 4-2-3-1 is an obvious formation for almost all teams in football. It is one of the main formation, whereas you have players playing at the back line, two holding midfielders, with one having that chance to go a bit more offensive. The man who's playing the number 10 has to be very much creative. You have the wide width players, and they would have to serve as a striker. It is not something that is difficult to understand if only you want to go more in depth. But something has to be done, people. I mean, as YouTube content creators, we're trying our utmost best, well, for me, to present contents for you, the fans, who are new or are already existing, in the best way possible, because I want for my videos to be recognized. And just the same as we want for Jamaica to be recognized. But we're not playing football properly. And is it the case of the coach all the time? I said it before, it has to be starting from the top. if the ambition at the top is strong enough, then if Coach Steve McLaren isn't the best option, then he would go. But I understand from my own belief then that it was always an experiment to get us to the World Cup. But he's doing something though to get in some key players. But it doesn't stop and should not stop only at the World Cup stage to qualify. It has to be beyond that. But the short-term goal has to be hitting the nail on the head. And we don't look like a World Cup qualifying teams, because if we should even play against Japan, if we do make it to the World Cup, in this state, we will get flagging. Yeah, man, we will get flagged. Now, the road ahead and what Jamaica must do. They must know what to do, because I talk about it many times. We need our best players to be recruited, and the paperwork can take time. So I would not say then that those who are working to get these players in are not doing a good job. I cannot compare myself to them, because they are the ones who are doing the job, and hats off to a lot of them who are trying their best. Big up to all of those persons who are trying their best. So what needs to be done is the obvious. Get the team playing into a formation or in a system that suits progress or suits success. And if the tactics is rubbish, then the coach is rubbish. It's obvious. If a player is not playing properly football, for example, player D is performing at D level, and you have a player on the bench who performs at B level, then player at the B level has to play instead of that player, because certainly that player would upgrade the team. So people, it is nothing really to talk deep diving into, because Jamaica football has been bad for years and it has to stop. We want to go to the World Cup. We want to do better than this now. We tired of seeing the inconsistencies. Those who are in charge cannot be blamed all the time, but it has to be starting from the top, coming down below. So people, what is your say then on the topic, alarming signs for Jamaica, World Cup dream under threat? I am worried, because the third round is going to be even more tedious than this. And if we're going to play even against Guatemala coming up next week, in this way, we will be flagged. So people, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section, because when you do so, I will respond as usual. And don't forget, Premier 7 is on the road of 2,000 subscribers. So when you subscribe to the channel and you interact with the videos, then it motivates me to keep up the good work.